Have you ever wondered how people with primitive tools could cut granite? These stone blocks weigh hundreds of tons, yet they are fitted so tightly that not even a knife blade can slip between them. Strange, isn't it? History textbooks claim that ancient builders only had copper chisels and hemp ropes. But when we see drill marks that cannot be replicated even with modern diamond drills, it is hard to believe the official version. Is it just a coincidence that similar technologies are found in Peru, Egypt, and Japan, even though these civilizations were separated by thousands of kilometers and thousands of years? Today, we will travel to the 6 most mysterious places on the planet. Archaeologists have argued about these sites for decades, but today we will try to separate mystique from hard facts. Brace yourselves, because what you are about to learn may completely overturn your understanding of humanity's past. Our first stop is the island of Java in Indonesia. Everything changed in 2010 when geologists arrived here not to pray, but to work. They began scanning the soil with ground-penetrating radar, hoping to study the region's seismic activity. But the instruments revealed something shocking, hidden beneath the layer of earth. And grass was not an ordinary mountain, but a gigantic man-made structure. When scientists conducted radiocarbon dating on organic matter found between the stones at a depth of 30 meters, the result forced them to double-check their equipment. The test showed an age of around 20,000 years. To put this into perspective, this was the era of the Deep Ice Age, when mammoths still roamed the earth, and the construction of the Egyptian pyramids was still 15,000 years away. This news instantly broke the internet because it shatters our entire worldview. According to official science, humans 20,000 years ago were simple hunter-gatherers living in caves and huts. They simply could not physically organize a construction project of this scale because they had no state or agriculture to feed an army of workers. Alternative history enthusiasts immediately declared that Gunung Padang is proof of the existence of Atlantis, or another highly developed civilization that perished during a global flood. After all, who else could possess the technology to create the oldest pyramid in the world, if not a forgotten race of giants or aliens teaching our ancestors? However, the reality turned out to be slightly more prosaic, but no less interesting. When the emotions settled, geologists explained the nature of these mysterious stone bars. These are so-called columnar basalts, a phenomenon that occurs when lava in the throat of a volcano cools and cracks into perfect hexagonal columns. In other words, nature itself cast the bricks for this pyramid, not an extraterrestrial factory. But the most amazing thing is something else. Ancient people actually found this place, and without complex machinery, managed to move thousands of these heavy columns to reinforce the slopes and create terraces. It is not a construction from scratch, but a grandiose modification of the natural landscape. The main mystery here is not lasers, but sociology. How did tribes of hunters manage to unite and work together for centuries for a single goal, without kings or overseers? In Indonesia, people used what nature gave them, simply moving ready-made stones. But what lies in India cannot be explained by nature, because there the builders did not erect a mountain, but methodically destroyed it to create a masterpiece that is impossible to repeat. Welcome to the state of Maharashtra, to the Kailasa temple. When you first see this structure, your brain refuses to understand how it was made. Usually buildings are built from the bottom up, foundation first, then walls, then a roof. But here everything is the opposite. This temple, as tall as a 9-story building, was not built from blocks. It is entirely carved out of one giant cliff from the top down. Imagine a sculptor taking a stone and chipping away everything unnecessary to get a statue. Now imagine that this statue is a huge complex with columns, halls, elephant statues, and intricate carvings, where every detail is part of a monolith. To create this wonder, workers had to chisel and haul 200,000 tons of volcanic rock out of the quarry. If you were to load this stone into freight wagons, the train would stretch for 40 kilometers. And the most astonishing thing is that the architects had no right to make a mistake. If a stonecutter accidentally chipped off a piece of an elephant statue's trunk, it couldn't be glued back on or replaced with a block. The entire temple would be ruined forever. Official plaques state that the temple was built in just 18 years in the 7th century AD. And this is where the mathematics that drives researchers crazy begins. If you divide 200,000 tons by 18 years, it turns out that workers had to mine and haul out 30 tons of stone every day, without weekends, without holidays, in rain and heat. And that doesn't include time for planning and fine carving. Many are convinced that it is impossible to do this with a pickaxe and hammer. On the internet, a popular theory suggests that ancient Indians used technologies we have lost, from giant machines, traces of which can allegedly be seen on the walls, to directed sound capable of softening stone, or even lasers left by extraterrestrial guests. After all, how else can one explain such speed and precision, when even today creating such a monument would be an engineering nightmare? However, the solution lies not in extraterrestrial technologies, but in the brilliant organization of labor. Engineers have explained that the secret of speed lay in the method of vertical excavation. Workers did not need to lift heavy stones up, as when building pyramids. Gravity worked for them, debris was simply thrown down. As for tools, ancient masters used steel wedges. They drilled a row of holes in the rock, inserted dry wooden wedges into them, and poured water over them. The wood swelled and with monstrous force split the stone exactly along the line. But the main resource the ancient kings had was people. Thousands of stonecutters worked in shifts around the clock, turning the rock into a work of art. Kailasa is a monument not to forgotten technologies, but to human persistence and discipline, which is sometimes more powerful than any laser. This temple has stood in plain view for centuries, amazing pilgrims, but the next structure was hidden from the eyes of humanity under a layer of water until a lonely diver, who was simply looking for sharks, accidentally noticed it. We moved to Japan, to the country's westernmost point, Yonaguni Island. In 1986, diving instructor Kihikaro Arataki dived into these waters to find a new spot to watch hammerhead sharks. But instead of fish, he saw something on the bottom that took his breath away. Towering before him was a massive stone mass resembling a stepped pyramid or a fortress. Arataki saw perfectly flat terraces, right angles that looked like man-made steps, and even strange formations resembling a road circling the monument. The object's size is impressive, stretching 150 meters in length and 40 meters in width. When news of the discovery reached the mainland, the world began talking about a Japanese Atlantis. The problem is that this city is underwater, the ocean level in this area was this low only during the last ice age, about 10,000 years ago. If this is indeed a man-made city, it is older than the Egyptian pyramids and Sumerian cities by 5,000 years. Supporters of the proto-civilization theory claim that these are the remains of the legendary continent of Mu, the Pacific equivalent of Atlantis. They point to details that are hard to dismiss as nature. Two round holes on the edge of a slab, looking like places for installing columns, and a rock resembling a giant turtle head or a human face looking south. Who, if not a forgotten great civilization, could have built such a port before the ocean swallowed it? The scientific community is divided into two camps: archaeologists shake their heads skeptically, but geologists offer an interesting explanation. Yonaguni rock consists of sandstone and mudstone, rocks that tend to split along straight lines during the movement of tectonic plates. Strong underwater currents have washed away small stones for centuries, leaving only large blocks with straight faces. What we take for steps and terraces is the result of natural forces, not architects. However, there is a nuance that even skeptics agree with. It is likely that nature created the base, the draft, and ancient people living here before the flood refined it. They could have used the natural platforms as a quarry or a sanctuary, squaring corners and cutting passages. So the truth is likely somewhere in the middle. It is a masterpiece created in co-authorship between nature and man. Water knows how to keep secrets, but sometimes Earth hides them even more reliably. In Turkey, a farmer just wanted to renovate his basement but found an entrance to a real inferno, where thousands of people hid for centuries. Imagine you are renovating your house, demolishing an old wall in the basement, and suddenly discover a dark tunnel leading nowhere. This is exactly what happened in 1963 to a simple resident of the Turkish region of Cappadocia. He did not suspect that behind his wall lay not just a cellar, but the entrance to one of the largest underground cities in the world, Derinkuyu. When archaeologists arrived at the site and began excavations, they were shocked by the scale. It was not just a couple of caves, but a real megalopolis going 18 floors underground. Here, in total darkness, 20,000 people could simultaneously live, eat, and sleep along with their livestock. They had everything: schools, churches, wine cellars, oil presses, and sheep folds. But the most terrifying thing is the depth. The shafts go down 85 meters and air enters through an ingenious ventilation system that is impossible to notice from the surface. Why would anyone voluntarily live underground, like moles without sunlight? Conspiracy theorists immediately put forward a version that Derinkuyu was built as a bunker in case of a global catastrophe. Perhaps ancient people were hiding from a past nuclear war, an ice age, or even an alien invasion patrolling the skies. Supporters of the paleo-contact theory point to strange security measures, narrow corridors where only one can pass, and massive stone-wheeled doors weighing half a ton that can only be closed from the inside. Who were they so desperately defending themselves against? Historians offer a more earthly, but no less dramatic explanation. Derinkuyu was indeed a shelter, but not from aliens, from quite real humans. These lands were the arena of wars for centuries, first raids by Romans, then Arabs, then Mongols. The locals used the softness of the volcanic tough rock. This stone cuts easily while it is in the bowels of the earth, but upon contact with air, it quickly hardens, becoming as strong as concrete. It was the perfect fortification project. When the enemy approached, the entire population of the city simply disappeared underground, rolling the entrances shut with huge stones. Enemies could walk on the surface, not suspecting that life was boiling right under their feet. It is a monument to incredible thirst for life and the ingenuity of people driven into a corner. Derinkuyu was a shelter for the living, where people escaped from war. But in the Pacific Ocean, there is a place that locals call the City of the Dead, and where they are afraid to sail even today. If you find yourself in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean on the tiny island of Pohnpei, locals will surely warn you. Never stay in the ruins of Nan Madol after sunset. By day, this place looks like a miracle of engineering thought. By night, according to islanders, the spirits of ancient kings wake up here, who do not like uninvited bones. Nan Madol is the only ancient city in the world built not on solid ground, but right on the water among mangrove thickets and coral reefs. It is not just a couple of huts on stilts. It is 92 artificial islands created by man, connected by a network of canals, which is why this place is called the Venice of the Pacific. But unlike romantic Italy, an atmosphere of heavy, oppressive grandeur reigns here. The city walls rise 8 meters above the water. This is the height of a 3-story house. They are built of thousands of basalt logs. Each such stone column weighs from 5 to 50 tons. If you stack all the stones used in the construction of Nan Madol, you get a figure of 750,000 tons. To understand the scale of madness, this is comparable to the volume of stone in the Great Pyramid of Cheops. But the pyramid was built by all of ancient Egypt with its million-strong population and developed economy. Pompeii, according to anthropologists' estimates, had at most 25,000 people living there at that time. They had no metal, no wheels, no complex machinery. Nevertheless, they somehow managed to move these colossal blocks from a quarry on. The other side of the island dragged them through jungles and swamps, and then lay them in the water with perfect precision. Locals still believe that this place is cursed, and they have reason to think so. In 1907, the German governor Victor Berg, who ruled the island, decided to challenge the legends. Despite the pleas of the locals, he opened one of the tombs of the ancient rulers in the center of Nan Madol. Berg triumphed, finding inside the bones of giants that were much larger than ordinary people. But his triumph was short-lived. The next morning, the governor suddenly died. In terrible agony, and doctors were unable to establish the cause of death. The locals said then and say now, "Sod, he disturbed the peace of the Sodalurs." The mystery of the construction of Nan Madol has driven researchers crazy for decades. How can you drag a 50-ton stone column through jungles where there are no roads? Wheels would get stuck in the mud instantly. Drag them. The friction would be so strong that thousands of people would be required, and there simply weren't that many on the island. That is why the most popular version among locals and mystics became magic. Legends say that the city was built by twin brothers, Alasifa and Alasipa, who arrived from the sea. They were powerful sorcerers capable of controlling gravity. They sat on the shore and played magical instruments. And to these sounds, huge basalt blocks rose into the air by themselves and flew to their places like birds. Supporters of the paleocontact theory go even further. They point to strange magnetic anomalies that are often recorded in the Nan Madol area. The compass here sometimes goes crazy and electronics fail. Conspiracy theorists believe that the basalt columns are not just building materials, but elements of a giant power plant or antenna left by aliens. After all, from a bird's eye view, the city plan really does resemble a complex microcircuit where canals serve as conductors. Maybe that's why Victor Berg died. He simply fell under the influence of residual radiation or unknown radiation. Scientists, of course, do not believe in levitation, but even they admit that the engineers of Nan Madol were geniuses of logistics. The solution to the mystery of stone transportation came when archaeologists decided not to guess, but to experiment. They realized that dragging stones over land was stupid. The islanders used the ocean. Basalt columns were suspended under large rafts made of bamboo and wood. In water, the stone becomes a little lighter, and the buoyancy of the rafts prevented it from sinking. But how to lift 50 tons to a height of 8 meters without cranes? Here the method of an inclined plane was used. Builders laid logs crosswise, as in building wooden huts only made of stone. They used palm trunks as levers, gradually raising the structure layer by layer. But the most interesting discovery concerns not technology, but the reason for construction. Why spend so much effort? The answer turned out to be frighteningly cynical. Nan Madol was built by the Saudeleur dynasty not as a temple and not as a fortress. It was a golden cage. The emperor ordered all local chiefs and their families to move to this stone city. It sounds like an honor, but in reality, it was control. On the artificial islands, there were no sources of fresh water, nor the possibility of growing food. Everything from a coconut to a drop of water had to be brought by boat from the mainland. The chiefs found themselves in complete dependence on the emperor. If anyone plotted a rebellion, their food supplies were simply cut off. Nan Madol is the first elite concentration camp in history, where architecture served as a tool of absolute tyranny. The engineers of Nan Madol used cunning to control their people, but the creators of the next object possessed matter processing technology that will stump even modern specialists with laser equipment. We return to Egypt to descend into a dungeon that scares more than any curse. Everyone knows about the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx, but the true mystery of Egypt is hidden not under the scorching sun, but deep underground in a place called the Serapeum in Saqqara. The story of its discovery is worthy of a Hollywood movie. In 1850, French archaeologist Auguste Mariette stumbled upon a sphinx head sticking out of the sand. He began to dig and discovered an avenue of statues that led him to a sealed entrance to the underground. To get inside, Mariette had to use explosives. That was how powerful the stone plug blocking the passage was. When the dust settled and archaeologists with torches entered inside, they found themselves in a world of eternal darkness and silence. The galleries stretched for hundreds of meters, carved directly into the rock. But what stood in the niches on the sides made the researchers freeze. These were 24 giant sarcophagi, black, pink, and gray granite. The dimensions of these boxes are mind-boggling. Length about 4 meters, height more than 3. The weight of each is from 70 to 100 tons. That is like 2 adult tanks or a herd of elephants. On top lie lids weighing 30 tons each. When Mariette approached one of the sarcophagi, he noticed a detail that made a chill run down his spine. The layer of dust on the floor was untouched. On it were imprinted the footprints of workers who left here 3,000 years ago. This meant that no one had looted this place. The sarcophagi stood sealed. Archaeologists were sure that inside lay the mummies of sacred Apis bulls, adorned with gold and jewels. But when with incredible efforts the lid was moved, inside there was absolute emptiness, a vacuum. No bones, no gold, no dust, only perfectly polished black stone. It is precisely this fact, the emptiness inside the most complex containers of antiquity, that spawned dozens of theories. Why create a safe weighing 100 tons if nothing is stored in it? And here we come to the quality of processing, which is impossible to explain with a chisel and hammer. Engineer Christopher Dunn, who studied the Serapeum, applied a precision square to the wall of the sarcophagus and saw no gap. The surface was perfectly flat, the error was fractions of a human hair. Moreover, the internal corners were perfect 90 degrees. Try to imagine. A stonecutter needs to climb inside a granite box and in cramped conditions, by the light of an oil lamp, polish the hardest stone so as to obtain optical precision. One wrong move and the surface is ruined. Fans of alternative history are sure that the Serapeum is a technical object. The sarcophagi are made of granite, which contains a lot of quartz. Quartz under compression can generate electricity. The theory states that these boxes could have been part of a giant battery or even a teleportation installation. Others consider them shelters for preserving the gene pool from radiation. After all, thick granite is an excellent screen, or maybe the creatures stored there simply teleported or ascended, leaving the capsules empty. Egyptologists, of course, reject theories about teleporters. They point to inscriptions found on some sarcophagi. These are roughly scratched hieroglyphs that contrast sharply with the perfect polishing of the stone itself. Scientists believe that the sarcophagi were made by masters of the Old Kingdom who possessed forgotten technologies. And millennia later, they were found by more primitive descendants who tried to use them for their cults, clumsily signing, "Here lies the bull." As for technology, science offers a version using copper saws and abrasives such as corundum or quartz sand. Experiments have shown that copper can indeed saw granite if you pour tons of sand under it, but the speed of such sawing is a few millimeters per hour. To create one such sarcophagus by hand would take decades of continuous work by a whole brigade of masters. But the main question to which science still has no clear answer is logistics. The Serapeum tunnels are narrow, 2 people can barely pass there. How were 100-ton blocks dragged in there? How were they turned at right angles in cramped corridors? And most importantly, how were the sarcophagi lowered into niches that are below floor level and carefully covered with 30-ton lids without hydraulics? The gap between the wall of the niche and the sarcophagus is sometimes only 40 cm. There is simply no space to place levers or people. The Serapeum remains perhaps the most inconvenient artifact for historians, because here we see a result that would be incredibly difficult to repeat even with our cranes and machines. Today we have traveled an incredible journey. We saw a pyramid older than history itself. We descended 18 floors underground in Turkey and tried to understand the logic of builders who moved mountains in India and Egypt. These objects are scattered across different continents, but they are united by one thing. They challenge our understanding of the possible. It is easy to blame everything on aliens or magic. It is much harder but more important to acknowledge another fact. Ancient people were not primitive. Yes, they didn't have iPhones, lasers, or the internet, but they had something we lack so much today: time, patience, and a great purpose for which they were ready to work for generations. Looking at these megaliths, we understand that humanity is capable of incredible things. Perhaps we haven't lost the technologies of the past. Perhaps we just forgot what a human being is capable of when led by faith, not algorithms. And who knows what our descendants will dig up in 10,000 years on the site of our cities? Will they also marvel at our achievements or consider them an unexplainable mystery? Write in the comments which of these structures impressed you the most. And don't forget to subscribe, because history still holds many secrets that we have yet to uncover. See you soon.